From Citi Field in New York, it's New York Mets baseball this afternoon on SNY as the Mets play host to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the broadcast. I'm Kevin Burkhardt. Gary Cohen, Ron Darling will be along in just a minute. It's the rubber game of this three-game set between the Mets and the Dodgers this afternoon, and finally, actually feels like baseball weather for a change. Temperatures in the 60s, sunshine, and we get set to play the third game of this three-game set. What a night it was last night for the Mets, but before we get to that, let's see how we got here. Let's go back to the first game of the series on Tuesday. And a scary moment, Jonathan Nice gets drilled. Luckily, it missed the bone. X-rays negative, and Nice, even though a little sore, on schedule to make his next start. The problem is the bullpen couldn't contain Mark Ellis. What a day it was for the second baseman for L.A. 2 home runs. Dodgers beat up the Mets bullpen on the way to a 7-2 victory. Last night, though, little different story. It was Harvey night here at Citi Field, and Harvey, after allowing a run in the first inning, really started to do his thing from there. Even the offense from Harvey. How about this? Just missing a home run. He gets on with a double and then would score, coming around on a clutch hit by this man. Ruben Tejada going the other way. RBI single, game tied at 1. We go to the top of the 6th, though, and then Matt Kemp, his first home run of the year, comes at a big time. Opposite field gives the Dodgers a 3-run lead that would stand after the review until the 9th. Mike Baxter leads it off with a clutch pinch hit. He stretches it into a double after the misplay, and David Wright ties it up with this big 2-out single, sending this ball game into extra innings where Jordany Valdespin, the man, comes through with a walk-off grand slam. The first time the Mets have had a walk-off granny in 22 years. That was Kevin McReynolds doing the damage against the Expos in that game. It was a thrilling night for the Mets and a big win. They had all aspects contributing. The bullpen, key bunt, sac fly, things like that, but Valdespin the hero with a grand slam and a 7-3 win. So here in the rubber match, it'll be Jeremy Hefner getting the start this afternoon. He's looking for his first win of the year, 0-2 coming into this one. Hefner also looking for a little length after going just 4 innings his last start. Meanwhile, for the Dodgers, the much talked about Hyunjin Ryu. The Dodgers paid $25 million in a posting fee to his team in South Korea and then paid him $36 million. Lefty's a big guy, but he's not a fireballer. He does know how to pitch. So it's Ryu and Hefner. Mike Baxter, one of the heroes from last night, will join me. We'll talk about that big game for the Mets when we come back. Mets and Dodgers. Baxter joining me next on SNY. three-game set. I'm with one of the heroes from last night, Mike Baxter. Mike, your pinch hit double to start the ninth was a thing of beauty. Not only getting the hit, but stretching it into the double there. When did you decide, okay, I'm going to turn the Jets on and try for two?
Coming out of the box, trying to go hard down the first, and I saw it bounce off Crawford's glove pretty far and figured I had a good chance to make it.
How much of that goes back to the aggressive base running thing that was preached all spring training?
Yeah, it's something we talk about a lot in camp. You just want to give yourself a chance to move up, and you do so by running hard. And I think that's kind of the first thing you got to do.
What's the most satisfying thing about a win like that last night?
Just seeing everybody come in and kind of play fundamental baseball from start to finish. There were a lot of small things that, in the end, added up to a nice emotional victory for us.
So much talk about your outfield group coming into the season, but the way Terry has used, everyone's gotten a chance, and everyone at different times has contributed. How about your view from the inside out? How has this group meshed and worked?
It's a good group, and we're all pulling for each other behind the scenes, and kind of regardless of your role for that day, everybody's ready when they're called upon, and that's really all you could ask for.
You guys have been good at home. Is that a big emphasis this year, trying to play better here at Citi Field?
Yeah, we're just trying to come out and play good every day. It's nice when you get a good victory like last night. The crowd's behind you. It's a fun place to play when you're winning, for sure.
Mike, thanks for the time. Good luck today.
Okay, Berkey, thank you.
Mike Baxter, big hit last night with the double that got the Mets tied after David Wright's hit. Mets going for the series win against the Dodgers today. We've got the first pitch coming up next on SNY.
For the first pitch of this afternoon's game, rubber game of the three-game set. Carl Crawford leads off and swings at the first one, and everybody's in a rush today. Game starts 2 minutes early, and Crawford's up there swinging at the first one.
Well, these are the Caesar Atlantic City numbers. You can't really talk about these numbers. It's been a tough start for Hefner, especially with the home run ball. Hopefully with the four right-handed hitters in the lineup that he's mastered so far this year, it'll be a little better.
7 home runs allowed this year, and that ties him for the most in the National League. As you look at the Hyundai Dodgers starting lineup, and probably significant that Hyundai is the sponsor because Hyunjin Ryu is the starting pitcher for the Dodgers. A little Korean flavor today, and there are a lot of folks over from the enormous Korean community in Flushing to take in the game today, as Ryu, the very highly touted young Korean left-hander, gets his first start in New York, and the curveball fouled off by Crawford, and it's 0-2. Nick Punto playing second base today is on deck. Adrian Gonzalez behind him. Crawford's had himself a rough time in this series, 0 for 7, and then he dropped the line drive by Mike Baxter last night that helped the Mets tie the game in the ninth. And Hefner drills him in the shoulder. And the Dodgers have a leadoff base runner. First batter that Hefner has hit this year.
Well, trying to come inside when you've given up some home runs. When you come inside, you want to make sure you get it in enough. Boy, almost hits him in the back of numbers. Not a great start so far for Jeremy.
Well, it's a nice spring afternoon. The sun is out. The wind is blowing. It's about 60 degrees, but you note the scarf here in the booth. It's still a little chilly.
Well, especially with the air conditioning on in here, it makes it even chillier. So, but
that's a good point.
It's a I don't know. It's just been a chilly April. We were talking about it before. I don't remember as a player. Now I'm older, and when you get older, it's harder for you to deal with the cold. But I don't remember it being this cold for this long in April.
Well, also when you were playing, at least one day out of 5, you were moving around more.
That's right. That's right. I'm still doing the other part. The other 4 days, drinking a lot of coffee. But
Nick Punto 0 for 3 in this series, getting his 6th start of the year. The veteran switch hitter. Crawford, a base stealer on. Carl Crawford has 435 career stolen bases. And standing just a few feet away from one of the great base stealers of all time, his first base coach, Davey Lopes.
Not a lot of running, though, on the Dodgers so far in the first 2 games of the series.
They've had just 8 steals as a team through their first 20 games of the year. And Hefner finds the inside corner with a fastball and gets ahead on Punto, 0-2. That's an awfully good career stolen base percentage for Carl Crawford, who was the face of the Devil Rays back when they were the Devil Rays, and didn't win a whole lot. And strike 3 call. Punto caught looking for the first out of the afternoon.
Well, interesting pitch here by Hefner. He's trying to throw a cutter in, doesn't get it in, so it ends up being a backdoor cutter away and catches the plate. Nice frame by Recker. Here's a grip. You can see those fingers close together, trying to use finger pressure with the middle finger. Gets through it a little too much and ends up as a backdoor cutter.
So 1 out and 1 on. And now Adrian Gonzalez. 2 for 7 in this series. 3rd in the National League with that .375 average. But as has been the case for most of these Dodgers, getting on has not produced a lot of runs. Murphy charges his only play at first to get Gonzalez for the 2nd out. So 2 out as Crawford advances.
Well, see the Lexus Mets defense due to Kyle Gilbert in the outfield. 17th career start, 3rd this season for Recker. David Wright's got a 74-game errorless streak on the line. Tejada Murphy Davis across the infield.
Well, there's Recker, who's been doing mostly sitting so far this year behind the red-hot John Buck, and that's going to be one of the hardest jobs there is. Not only backup catcher, but young backup catcher. It's one thing when you're a veteran and you've got a few years under your belt and you've figured that job out. It's going to be hard sitting for the first 3 weeks of the year.
Well, Terry Collins addressed it really quickly. He said that all of these guys start in the minor leagues and they come up here and then they're bench players.
So here's Kemp, who hit the opposite field 2-run homer against Matt Harvey last night, and Recker goes down in the dirt to stop that one. Kemp's home run was his first of the year and snapped an 86 at bat homerless streak going back to last year. Kemp hurt his shoulder late last season, played the last month of the year with the bad shoulder, had surgery in the offseason, and it's taken him a while to come around, but the signs have been good for Kemp in this series. And a good curveball by Hefner. 1-1.
Boy, good pitch by Hefner on the knees, going down. Good dart of a slider on that outside part. Awkward swing by Kemp.
And Kemp drives one over shortstop, a base hit. That'll chase Crawford in with the game's first run. So Matt Kemp with an RBI single, and it's 1-0 LA.
Well, the problem you have here is that the Mets really want to pitch Kemp like they pitch Giancarlo Stanton for the Marlins. A lot of fastballs in. The problem is for Hefner, he doesn't throw 94 or 95 and didn't have enough to get that in on Kemp.
So the Dodgers jump out to an early lead. Kemp with his 10th RBI of the season. And now Andre Ethier Ethier 2 for 7 in this series, hitting .235 for the year. And the changeup outside for ball 1. Mets and Dodgers splitting the first 2 games of this series. The Dodgers winning on Tuesday night, and the Mets, with their dramatic victory last night, now have a chance to win their first 4 series at home this season, something they haven't done since 1976. Mets beat the Padres and the Marlins in the first 2 home series of the year. Late swing foul, 1-1 to Ethier.
You know, Gary, I've given up well over 200 home runs in my career. But when you get on a streak like Jeremy's been on giving up the home run, it's kind of a catch-22. You try to stay out of the middle of the plate, but occasionally what happens, and it keeps that home run streak going, is that you end up behind in the count a lot. And when you're behind in the count and you don't have outstanding stuff, that's where the home runs come from.
Well, the numbers for Hefner are particularly ugly against the left-hand hitters as he gets ahead on Ethier 1-2. Coming into the day, 31 plate appearances by lefties against him, a .423 batting average, and 5 home runs.
I know as a major league pitcher you're supposed to wipe that from your mind, but when you've gotten off to this kind of start, it is there.
Backdoor breaking ball misses, and it's 2-2 to Ethier. Juan Uribe is the number 6 hitter today, playing third base. Right-hand batter waits on deck. 59 degrees at game time. Bright sunny skies. Wind blowing out of the northwest, although it's a little calmer now than it was earlier in the day when it was really howling. And Ethier pops one up in foul ground. Wright comes over for a look, but that's well back in the crowd.
You know, it was lost last night as you see the wind blowing here. It's been gusting the entire month of April. You know, lost in the game last night because of Valdespin's great home run, walk-off home run, grand slam. Jerry Hairston made one of the finest plays I've ever seen against the top turnbuckle over there in front of his dugout.
That was the second out of the 9th, and on the next pitch, David Wright tied the game, so it kind of got lost in the shuffle. And Ethier lifts one out to left center. Plenty of room for Duda. And that retires the side, but a hit batsman leads to a run against Jeremy Hefner in the first. Mets come to bat. Down 1-0. Tejada leads off for the third straight day. Anthony Recker gets the rare start behind the plate. And Colin Cowgill, the relatively recent rare start in center field. Lucas Duda, notably, moves up to the cleanup spot for the Mets.
These are the Toyota numbers on Hyun-Jin Ryu. And he was a 5-time strikeout winner. Had this title in South Korea for the Hanwha Eagles. Triple Crown winner, did everything in Korean baseball.
Burst on the scene in 2006 in the Korean baseball organization. He was the Rookie of the Year and MVP at age 19. It's a nice start to your career.
Wow. It's like Fred Lynn.
And from the reaction to that first pitch strike, he's got a lot of fans here today. And Ryu throws the off-speed pitch, and Tejada can't find it. 0-2.
That's his pitch. He'll dart his fastball, as you see the hot Daniel Murphy on deck. In and out. Well, he loves to get to that changeup. There you go.
The percentage of fans here rooting for Ryu today, reminiscent of a game, it has to be 15 years ago now, when Chan-Ho Park pitched for the Dodgers at Shea Stadium. And I believe it was during International Week. It might have been Dominican night. There were more Korean fans than Dominican fans in the ballpark that night. It kind of set the whole international thing on its ear. And the curveball misses 2-2.
I don't know about you, but I do make my way over to Koreatown and Flushing a couple times in the winter. It's a great place, great food.
A little Korean barbecue, some kimchi on the side.
Big time.
Ready to go. Ryu is 26 years old, 6'2", 255 pounds. And the 2-2 to Tejada. And the fastball just missed. And a full count to Rubin, who seems to get to 3-2 in his sleep.
I was going to say, how many times do you think you'll say that in your career? Full count on Tejada.
And it usually starts when he's behind 0-2. Somehow he finds his way to 3-2. Rubin 1 for 7 in this series. Had the RBI single yesterday to snap an 0 for 18 skid. And he keeps this at bat alive. Ryu's last start was his toughest to date. He pitched 6 innings in Baltimore, allowed 5 runs and 8 hits. No decision for him in that game. What's notable about Ryu, though, only 5 walks through his first 4 starts. 5 walks to go with 26 strikeouts. And Tejada bounces one down to third, where Uribe is playing today. And that's the first out.
Well, the defense for the Los Angeles Dodgers behind Ryu, Coors Light defense. Gold Glove and Crawford. Kemp's got a Gold Glove. Ethier's 1-1. Uribe's 2 World Series rings. Sellers, Punto, World Series in 2011. Agon at first base. And Ramon Hernandez is doing the catching. Traded from Colorado for Aaron Harang.
Here's Murphy, 3 for 9 in this series, riding a 7-game hitting streak right now. And Ryu misses away for ball 1. Murphy at 347, that's 6th in the National League. And 387 against left-handed pitching. Great look at Ryu from that low angle. 1-1 to Murphy.
Beautiful angle, and Ramon Hernandez, one of the quietest catchers you'll ever see. He just sits back on those haunches. He has a low target. Almost implores you as a pitcher to keep that ball below the knees. A little side saddle here as he faces first base, almost like pitching from the stretch, really. Not too much into it. You see that front foot kick out and come straight to the plate.
Now the 1-2 to Murphy, and he just misses outside with a slider. 2-2. David Wright waits on deck. Mets at 10-9 on the season. Looked like they were going to slip below 500 for the first time this year until Wright's tying hit in the 9th, and then Valdespin's grand finale. 2-2. Drive foul deep down the right field line. And that home run distance for Murphy, but a little bit out in front.
Well, he really starts out kind of slow and then speeds it up in the end, and that's really where he gets his deception. Kind of tucks that front leg, looks over that shoulder, not quite as much as the pitcher last night, Lilly.
Murphy uses the emergency hack to foul off the breaking ball.
You know what's interesting about his emergency hack this year, though? He tends to pull the ball. Last year, it was like kind of just flailing away and sending it over the opposition's dugout.
And Murphy hits one out to left. And Crawford has it measured. 2 out. So 2 up and 2 set aside for the left-hander Rue. And now David Wright steps in. David 2 for 7 in this series, including that tying hit last night. Now has 16 runs batted in. That's 7th in the National League. 5th in the league in on-base percentage. 2nd in the league in walks. Another good start to the year for David, who had that tremendous first half last year. And Rue darts the outside corner, 0-1.
That is about as cute as it gets right there. Boy, fastball on the knees away. Fastball belt high in, both on the corner.
Complete with oil painting. Not too many people bring the oil painting to the ballpark.
How do you get that in, or you just paint this once you get here?
Very nice. Well, he's a rock star in South Korea. And in Flushing, he has a 1-2-3 inning to begin his stint today. Rue has himself a 1-0 lead as we go to the second. Juan Uribe will lead off for the Dodgers. Uribe making his first start in this series, his 7th of the year.
Gary's got 2 home runs and 3 hits.
Well, that's the way he swings the bat. He swings to hit home runs every time up, which is why he's hitting 150 and why he's hit 204 or less in every one of his seasons as a Dodger.
You know what's interesting is that in the first game he had a big walk for the Dodgers. Here, taking the first pitch, you usually don't see that.
And now 2-0. So perhaps he's changed his approach. Uribe, Ramon Hernandez, and Justin Sellers batting for the Dodgers in the second. You know, we've talked a lot about the Dodgers and their massive payroll this year, $216 million, with all the expensive contracts they took on and then the ones they added with Zach Greinke and Rue and others. 3-1 to Uribe. But the flip side of that is the Dodgers are an older team. J.P. Howell, their reliever, turns 30 today. They now have 16 of their 25 on the active roster 30 or older. And Uribe part of that, and he has a leadoff walk. And so Hefner sees the leadoff man get on for the second straight inning. 16 players 30 plus, the most on any major league roster right now. And, you know, that can be a double-edged sword.
Well, I mean, you look at a team like the Phillies, you know, we talked about it when we were there. You know, that becomes a problem. Are your guys still at the top of their game?
By the way, the Phillies will get older when they get here this weekend. At least Sunday they will, because Carlos Ruiz will come off the disabled list.
That's right.
Not the disabled list, the
suspended list.
Here's Ramon Hernandez, 36-year-old catcher, came over from the Rockies the first week of the season in exchange for Aaron Harang, and he takes a strike.
Well, Hernandez, you have to give him a lot of credit. In his day, he was the catcher for Zito and Hudson and Mark Mulder, who was here, I think, yesterday to do the game for ESPN.
Went from Oakland to Baltimore. He's now with his 6th major league team.
Interesting. Hefner is his tempo is a little slower than it was in spring training. He already has a hit batter and a walk, things that he doesn't usually do.
And Hernandez lifts one out to right center. And Marlon Byrd right there to grab it, one away. So 1 out and 1 on. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer. Hurry to your local Tri-Honda dealer for great deals on the 2013 models. By the NFL Draft Round 1 tonight, 8 p.m. on NFL Network. By Geico. By AT&T, Rethink Possible. And by Heineken. Here's Justin Sellers, the shortstop, 3 for 5 in this series. Had 3 hits on Tuesday night when the Dodgers won the opening game of the series. Sellers right now a placeholder for Hanley Ramirez, who looks like he's going to play shortstop when he's ready to come back. After playing primarily third base last year for the Marlins and in the World Baseball Classic, because in both cases he was playing next to Jose Reyes. Hefner handles the comebacker, and Tejada with the turn, but the high throw, and Davis with a terrific tag to end the inning. Beautifully done by Ike Davis to save Tejada. A bad throw. That is athletic ability. And the tag right on the helmet. 1-6-3 ends the inning.
So Tejada just kind of flips it over there, and the leap and tag all in one motion on the top of the helmet by Sellers. Nice draw by Uribe getting into Tejada. But boy, saving an error and turning it into an out. You don't see that very often.
And maybe a little headache for Justin Sellers.
Yeah, right.
Well, this would normally be Ike Davis' spot in the lineup, but after a few days of hesitation, Terry Collins flips Duda and Davis today and puts the hot Duda in the cleanup spot and drops the cold Davis down to 6th. And Duda hits one out to center field, and Kemp is right there. 1 out. It's always interesting with a manager who is mulling a decision on personnel and batting orders, and at some point the switch flips and you say, you know what, it's the right thing to do.
Well, I think what happened for Terry is that we've all been anticipating, and that's what happens in this market for a manager, which makes it difficult, is everyone's been asking him the question. Now, obviously Duda's been one of the strengths in the lineup, so when are you going to flip-flop it with Ike struggling so much? And it's interesting that he chooses a pitcher that Duda's not seen, that's left-handed, to put him in the 4th slot.
And so Davis on deck in the 6th hole as Marlon Byrd bats. Hits one off the end of the bat, shallow right, and on comes Ethier, and that's the 2nd out. So Hyunjin Ryu is retired 5 in a row. The Met fans in the ballpark today, they've got some competition.
Yeah, right.
There are some fans, and a lot of them, for the opposition today, with Ryu making the start.
I remember the first time the Dodgers ever came to Shea Stadium when I was a player in 1984, because I came up at the end of the '83 season, and I was like, what is this? It was everyone in a Brooklyn Dodger hat. It was the most amazing scene.
Well, you should have been there 15, 20 years earlier. Well, I mean, in the early days of the Mets, when the Dodgers and the Giants came back to New York, they would get 50,000 every game and draw 10,000 the rest of the time. No. And the crowds were evenly split between folks who were angry as heck at the Dodgers for leaving and rooting against them, and the people who were still Dodger fans. Same thing with the Giants. Ike hitting at 169 and a check swing roller. Ryu off the mound, and a quick flip to get him. So Ryu's retired the first 6. We go to the 3rd, 1-0 LA. Brooklyn after the 1957 season. That was their old home, Ebbets Field. That's a great shot, isn't it? You very rarely see that shot of the double-decked outfield. And, of course, the rotunda here at Citi Field modeled after the old rotunda at Ebbets Field. They played from 1890 to 1957 in Brooklyn and won 1 World Series. They went to L.A. and, well, they've won 5.
You know what's interesting, Gary? I was talking about it. It's not that I did not the history of the Dodgers and whatever leaving, but seeing all those fans, I didn't. What you were saying, I didn't know the anger and the people that still had their allegiance to the club.
It was an interesting dynamic for a long time, and of course there aren't very few people left who were Brooklyn Dodger fans who are still around. There are obviously some, but as the generations have passed, I think the anger has faded some. Hyun-Jin Ryu 3 for 7 at the plate, which is made even more remarkable by the fact that for 7 years in the Korean League he never swung the bat. They have the DH there.
Rubathia.
And Hefner just misses outside 2-2. Now you note that Ryu, a left-hand pitcher, is batting right-handed. He is actually a naturally right-handed person, but the first fielder's mitt that his dad ever got for him as he strikes out was a left-hander's mitt.
Wow.
And so he just started throwing left-handed, and that became his profession, left-handed pitcher.
I remember the golfer Phil Mickelson, who's left-handed. How he learned how to play left-handed is because he would watch his dad play right-handed and would try to mirror his swing on the other side of him. So that's how he became a left-handed golfer.
Here's Carl Crawford, who was hit by a pitch and scored the only run of this game. And he takes inside. Well, it cost the Dodgers a pretty penny to bring in Hyun-Jin Ryu. $25 million in posting fees to his Korean team, and then a $36 million 6-year contract. But the way he has handled himself since coming over, it seems like a bargain right now.
Well, there's something about him that's very charismatic, and that's why they have so many fans here today. The red hair working.
It's not always been an easy road for pitchers who've had success in Asia to come over here, as that ball's hit out to right center and Bird gets over to grab it, and Crawford retired. You think about guys like Hideki Irabu and Daisuke Matsuzaka, who were enormous stars in Japan, who for some reason or other, because whether it's for cultural reasons or just the adjustment or the game itself, were never able to perform at as high a level here.
Well, I think that's the problem, is that there's so many hurdles to leap over. The difference now, though, is a lot of the Western training has seeped into the Eastern training, and I think that's why it makes it sometimes, especially for the Korean ball player, a little easier to come here.
And of course, we've seen over the last couple of years the instant success that Yu Darvish has had since coming over from Japan. And I think it's also helpful that more players are now coming over at a younger age.
Yeah, you have a chance to see them in their prime, which we're seeing Yu Darvish. I mean, the size of the baseball for a pitcher makes it so challenging. Smaller, of course. The Japanese baseball smaller than the American baseball.
And the seams are different, right?
Seams are what seams used to be when I first started pitching. There's more seams. You can get a little more spin on the baseball. There's less seams, or seems like it, when I pick up a ball now than there were when I first started pitching.
Punto takes a letter high strike, and Hefner gets even 2-2. So Jeremy with a chance for his first 1-2-3 inning, and a good spot to get it here with the big bats to follow. Gonzalez on deck and Kemp behind him. And that just missed inside. A full count to Punto. Hefner lasted just 4 innings in his last start against the Nats on Saturday. Gave up 3 runs and 4 hits. Wound up being a no decision game for him. And Punto drives one deep to right. Bird goes back to the edge of the track, and he's got it. And that retires the side. 1-2-3 go the Dodgers in the third. Mets come to bat down 1-0. The Rockies came from behind and beat the Braves in 12 after Craig Kimbrell, a rare blown save. Rockies are now 14-7. The Phillies fall to 9-13. They lost to the Pirates 5-3. They're playing this afternoon in the third with Cliff Lee on the mound. And Yu Darvish, 6 scoreless innings, 11 strikeouts, as the Rangers beat the Angels 11-3, dropping the high-priced Angels to 8-12. A lot of dollars spent in Southern California in the offseason. And they've got 2 losing records so far to show for it. Anthony Recker getting just his 3rd start of the year. He's had only 7 at-bats. And he takes a strike from Hyunjin Ryu, who was retired the first 6.
Gary, talking about the Angels, have you seen Albert Pujols running?
It's hard to watch. He basically has to be a DH now. And he's what, in the 2nd year of a 10-year contract?
I was just thinking that if he had re-signed with the Cardinals, they'd have a player that they would have to DL, I would guess, right?
Well, knowing Albert, he'd probably go out there and try
because he's played through a lot of injuries. You're right.
I mean, he had. Remember when he was playing, and he had an elbow where he wasn't supposed to throw the ball?
No, but I remember, and I don't know who the Mets player was, but they had a similar injury, and the Met player was out 3 months, and Albert was out 3 days. I mean, he just refused to get operated on. Play with a broken hand. That's what he did.
But there comes a point in your career, and he's what, 33 years old now, that you have to wonder. As Recker strikes out. There's that good changeup. 2nd strikeout for Ryu. But your body starts breaking down, and it's harder to recover from those injuries.
Well, and he has the problem I was saying about him running is that he has plantar fasciitis, and that seems to be going around not only for us, but the NBA players. A lot of the guys are struggling with that. In the NBA playoffs.
Of course, that's a problem that R.A. Dickey had a couple of years ago and was able to pitch through, and in fact pitched better after he had plantar fasciitis. But you know, some guys are affected more than others, and what they say is that sometimes a partial tear in the plantar fascia is worse than a complete tear, because the pain just continues until the thing is fully torn.
Well, if the Mets try to work their philosophy of taking pitches off Ryu, they're going to be 0-2 all afternoon. This kid just pumps in strikes.
0-2 to Colin Cowgill. Cowgill is a guy who would be caught between right now. He's trying to get more playing time, and the way he needs to get more playing time is to get on base more, since he hasn't drawn a walk all year. But this might be the wrong day. Slow ground ball, and charging is Sellers, and he boots it, and Cowgill's aboard. Justin Sellers unable to make the connection on that slowly hit ground ball.
Well, this is what happens. See how he plays it to the side there? If he had his want, the better way to play this is in front of you with 2 hands, because then you can throw all in one motion to first base. Plays it off to the side, gets a little bad hop, doesn't have the other hand there to give him some insurance to maybe get that in the glove.
3rd error of the year charged to Justin Sellers. And so the Mets have their first base runner of the afternoon, and Jeremy Hefner will come up, and the Dodgers will look for the bunt. So we'll see Ryu from the stretch for the first time. And Hefner stabs at it, misses the throw down to first, and Punto does well to keep that ball from going down the right field line.
Well, that was a set play there. You charge Gonzalez hard, and the ball is outside and fired down to Punto. It was supposed to be coming in behind Cowgill, but he never got there.
12 feet behind the bag. That play's never going to work. Meanwhile, Hefner offered at a pitch that was well out of the strike zone. Looking for his first sacrifice of the season. 2 career hits, and one of those was a home run against Joe Blanton last year. And the curveball bounces behind Hernandez, can't find it, but no chance for Cowgill to advance.
A little curveball in the dirt. Tried to backhand. That's what happened to Hernandez there. Tried to backhand it. Once he did, he lost control of it. If he gets down and blocks that, he knows it'll be in front.
Mets did a great job with bunting in the game last night, including Marlon Byrd, who had to bunt a pitch that might have hit him had he not gotten the bunt down.
The Mets did so many good things in last night's game. It's good that they won it, from the sacrifice fly by Turner, who came in to pinch hit against Belisario. So tough last night. 2 out hit by Wright. A couple of bunts. Baxter's hustle. You can go on and on.
Throw in 4 hitless innings for the bullpen last night. Hefner unable to get that bunt down. It's 1-2. Terry Collins has been saying it right from the start. It's a team that has to do the little things right to win, and we saw that for half a season last year, and it's really been the case so far in the month of April. And Hefner fouls off the 3rd strike, so he's the strikeout victim. So Hefner unable to move the runner, and that's the 2nd out. So I had a tweet of the game last night from Justin Turner. So the replay of John Buck's pie, and he, I would say he was a little emphatic with the shaving cream pie on Jordani Valdespin, and so Turner is reclaiming the job. Wow, that's like a left hook.
I mean, that is a cross between the Three Stooges and Soupy Sales. Somewhere in between, that's the pie toss.
I give Valdespin all the credit in the world for staying on his feet. I thought he might go down.
I would never let someone do that to me on the field, I'll tell you that. We would have been fight inside. That was above and beyond.
Just a tad too emphatic.
Yeah.
But that happens sometimes in post-game celebrations. You know, at home plate, when Valdespin crossed the plate, there were some rather hard shots to the kidneys.
They filled this place with uppercuts, the players.
Tejada grounded out his first time up. And Ruben hits one out to center field. And Kemp back to get it. And that retires the side. We played 3 now on a Sunday afternoon in Flushing. 1-0 LA.
Sunny day here at Citi Field. Time for our favorite part of the homestand, the Verizon Ask the Booth. We pick a fan, get to ask Gary and Ron a question today. I happen to pick a fan who has his own entourage, which I've never seen before in my life. Joe from Bath, Pennsylvania. I also don't know where that is. Don't really care. But Joe, you got a question. What do you got?
Matt Harvey, is he on an innings count? And if so, how many innings is he going to pitch?
That's a very good question, guys, especially with all the Strasburg stuff last year. What about Harvey?
Well, that's a great question. If you'll remember, he was shut down last season after 10 starts, but he had gotten his innings to a place where he is going to pitch the entire season. Now, That being said, I don't think they want him to throw 225 or 230, but he certainly is in line this year to have a 200 inning season, and I think that's a good thing for the Mets.
Last year he threw 169 between the minors and the majors as Gonzalez drives one down the left field line and it slices away foul.
I think they try to stay between a 25 and 35 kind of jump every year. I mean, that's the thought process now.
Well, if you figure 32 starts, sometimes you get 33 or 34, but 32 is probably an average season these days. If you go 7 innings every start,
you do the math.
That's over 220 innings. Will they start to limit his pitches, limit his innings later in the year? I think it all remains to be seen. But as Gonzalez lines one, and Ike Davis snags it for the first out. I think a lot of it depends on where the Mets are at. If they are in a race late in the year, I think you handle it differently than if they're not. If you get to September and he's at 200 innings and you say that's enough for the year, maybe he doesn't make his last couple of starts. I think if you're in the race, I think that changes.
Well, I'm going to ask you this question, and this is not out of the realm of possibility. What if he's competing for the Cy Young?
It's an interesting question.
I mean, Strasburg was going to be sat down. It didn't matter what happened, but at some point 5 or 6 more starts. He did finish 15-6. 18, 19-6. But that's I think that's where we're getting ahead of ourselves. But you know what I'm saying.
I understand. I guess that's my point, is that a lot will depend on what the situation is, not just the innings number, but also how he got there. The stress and on his arm. Does he have a lot of 35 or 40 pitch innings, which hasn't been a problem so far, but you don't know what's going to happen through the summer. And team considerations and maybe individual honors, maybe that all factors into it. But I think 200 innings is certainly a reasonable goal this year for Matt.
I was lucky because in the minor leagues you were allowed to get to that's the numbers this year for Matt. You're able to get to 150, 160, 170 innings, so the jump to 200 was not so extreme.
Kemp has the only hit against Hefner, an RBI single in the first, and this time a good slider by Hefner strikes him out. Third strikeout for Hefner is looking a lot sharper today.
Gary, the big thing that Jeremy Hefner worked on this winter was to turn that cutter that he threw last year into a legitimate slider. In spring training, he had it the entire go, got off to the rocky start, and left some out over the plate, and now seems to have that good one again.
What is that transition like?
Well, it's hard because what happens is that you don't want to get in between. You want to be at a place where you threw a cutter last year and it was moving 4 or 5 inches, and now it's a big breaker. You want it in between. The whole thing for Hefner is that he uses finger pressure. So when you hold the ball, when you force seaming it, you want equal pressure on both ones. He's throwing a slider. All the pressure is on this finger, none on this finger right here, and that changes it. So it's a feel pitch, and on some certain days you have a better feel than others. The cold weather probably had something to do with it also.
Cowgill snags the fly ball from Ethier. That's 8 in a row retired by Hefner. Now the Mets will try and get something going against Rue in the bottom of the 4th, down 1-0. Send your Mets to the 2013 MLB All-Star Game right here at Citi Field. Vote on Mets.com as Murphy pops one up in foul territory, and Uribe comes over near the stands to make the play. One pitch and one out. Vote on Mets.com to be eligible for a special ticket offer and a meet and greet opportunity with David Wright. Vote early, vote often, and vote Mets at Mets.com. Mets trying their hands second time around the batting order against Hyunjin Ryu, who has been terrific so far. He's allowed just one base runner, and that was not his fault, an error by the shortstop Sellers.
You know, we watched last night, got a good shot of Dave Hudgens with Justin Turner before he went out to face Belisario and got that sacrifice fly. With the reliance on video, they have some of Ryu, but the reliance on charts, pitches, tendencies, which they certainly don't have on Ryu yet, or if they do, it's not thorough. I wonder if it makes it harder to face a pitcher you haven't seen before more than ever before, because there's less exchange player to player about what a certain pitcher has.
Well, there's no question that the technology of the game has changed, but that doesn't necessarily mean, does it, that guys can't exchange information as the game is going on, or even use video during the game.
They do definitely do that, but you know, he's sneaky. He's one of those guys that you have to see. It's like trying to explain in the day Fernando Valenzuela. I mean, how are you going to explain that? You got to see it.
And he walks right on 4 pitches, so the Mets have their second base runner of the game. Just the 6th walk for Ryu in 28 innings this year. And the Mets get the tying run aboard for Lucas Duda. Now, an even more difficult thing for Wright to be able to figure out. A lefty you've never seen before. What kind of pickoff move does he have? David's been doing a lot of running early in the season. Had his 6th stolen base last night. Also got caught for the first time. Duda flying to center his first time up. A very short lead for Wright, so he's taken no chances against this guy.
Well, the book on Ryu is that he's got a good move to first base, but even more importantly, he's very quick to home plate with that slide step, as we saw there. It's a well-polished pitcher that the Dodgers have gotten.
There's something Wellesian about him, right?
I know what it is, but I can't say it.
Little looper over short, and the Mets have their first hit. At the cost of a bat, Duda has a base hit, and the Mets have 2 men on.
That's a really good call, Gary. It does look like David Wells out there.
I mean, he's large, he's left-handed, he throws strikes, he's quick to the plate.
Kind of wear the uniform the same, you know, kind of big and little, not a hanging slider, but just one that's up in the strike zone. Good job by Lucas, who's taken some great at-bats against left-handers the last couple of nights.
So the Mets get a runner in scoring position for the first time, and now Marlon Byrd, who flied to right his first time up. In the Mets clubhouse today, former Met Marlon Anderson was in to visit. He's doing some work for MLB.com, and the only 2 Marlins in Major League history who played together with the Phillies back 10 years ago were able to get together and exchange hugs and old times.
You know, he's such a classy guy. He was as a player, and it was very interesting. He came up to me, Gary, afterwards and said, you know, I live in Atlanta. Would you, Gary and Keith, mind if I came up and like just hung out in the booth a little bit while you're doing the game? I'm like, of course you can.
Marlon's one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
He was a real joy to have on this team. Byrd hits one down to third. Uribe has the out at third, and the out at first. Side retired. 5-5-3 double play puts the Mets threat down quickly. 1-0 Dodgers after 4. Savings Bank. You can listen to all Mets games on Sports Radio 66 and Sports Radio 101.9 WFAN. The Phillies are in town to start a weekend series tomorrow night. Then the Mets go to Miami and Atlanta on their next road trip. Juan Uribe leads off the 5th inning, 1-0 LA. And Jeremy Hefner, who's been looking good, throws a first pitch strike with a slider. Uribe walked leading off the 2nd. He was the last man to reach for the Dodgers. Hefner's retired 8 in a row. Ramon Hernandez on deck, and then Justin Sellers for LA in the 5th. So Hefner, who lasted just 4 innings in his last start, has already gone beyond that today. Well, Uribe looks like a different hitter, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He's been a lot more patient in this series than we're used to seeing.
If I didn't see the number on his back, I wouldn't know it was him.
Mainstay with the 2010 Giants, who won the World Series, and he walks for the 2nd time. How about that? The only 2 walks Hefner's issued today. New York Mets baseball on SNY is brought to you by Bob's Discount Furniture, proud to be the furniture store of the New York Mets. In fact, Uribe has 2 World Series rings, doesn't he?
2005, he played a big part in the Chicago White Sox, and I mean, he was gold in the 2010 San Francisco Giants quest. 9 RBIs, which was 2nd on the team during that run, playoff run. Probably 2nd to Cody, right?
And what about Edgar Renteria and the role he played? Ramon Hernandez chases the fastball out of the strike zone. I mean, the Giants obviously had tremendous pitching that year and again last year, but the number of, I guess you could say, spare parts who have been able to come through for them in both those World Series titles. And you know, every team needs for some less heralded players to have big roles to go all the way, but it just seems as though the Giants have been able to build around a pitching staff and Buster Posey, and everybody else is kind of expendable.
And and a fan base that just is a rock and roll. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I mean, now they're developing younger players like the Brandon Belts and the Brandon Crawfords and people like that. But even last year with Marco Scutaro coming in and playing the enormous role that he played in their success.
You know, Brandon Crawford's got off to a great start, hasn't he? He's a guy that is outstanding shortstop. You didn't know if he'd hit enough, but he's gotten off to a great start.
It's a big kid. He's got some power. Hit a home run last night. Giants, though, have lost back-to-back extra inning games to the Diamondbacks. Double play ball. Murphy with the flip, and Tejada with the jump and toss for the 4-6-3 double play. The Mets turn their 2nd of the day.
Well, this game so far is a game of flyouts and double plays. Nice job by Murph. Remember, about a week ago, Murph had that backhand toss that was wide of the bag. Now going for the simple toss and running it, not running it, but placing it to the bag.
And Tejada this time a little less awkward getting around Uribe, who came to get him the last time and forced an errant throw.
And by the way, that's the prettiest play in baseball right there. The shortstop jumping over the incoming slider.
Now Justin Sellers, who hit into that first double play, which culminated in that terrific tag by Davis at first base. Yeah, Hefner falls behind him 2-0 with the pitcher on deck. Into shallow center field, and Colin Cowgill looking through the sunglasses. Side retired. We are halfway through at Citi Field. Mets down 1-0 to LA. Honda dealers. It's been all about the pitchers today. Dodgers scratched out a run in the first inning on a Matt Kemp RBI single against Jeremy Hefner, but he's been great since. And the Korean left-hander Hyunjin Ryu has been even better. Allowed just one hit over the first 4 innings. Ike Davis leads off against him in the home 5th and takes a breaking ball for a strike. Well, it was on this date in 1976 that Rick Monday, then playing center field for the Chicago Cubs, rescued the American flag from a couple of protesters who were trying to set it ablaze at Dodger Stadium, and became a folk hero as a result. And of course, Rick now does Dodger radio with Charlie Steiner. That's Rick on the right.
My mom's favorite player when we were growing up was Rick Monday.
Is that right?
Not because of his playing ability, not because of the Dodger uniform, Chicago Cub uniform. She thought he was handsome. That's why she liked him.
Well, Rick's got a number of claims to fame. One is that he was the first pick in the first ever free agent draft by the Kansas City Athletics in 1965.
Arizona State. Mr. Davis, too.
He was then traded to the Cubs for Ken Holtzman. So Holtzman wound up in Oakland, where he, helped the A's to 3 World Series. And Davis held the swing. It's 3-2. And then was traded from the Cubs to the Dodgers the year after he rescued the flag. The Dodgers picked him up. I mean, he was already a folk hero in Los Angeles.
Sense, right?
But in that trade, Bill Buckner went from the Dodgers to the Cubs. So he was traded for some pretty big names.
Blue Monday.
1981. His home run off Steve Rogers as Ryu befuddles Ike Davis and has his 4th strikeout.
Well, 3-2 breaking ball by Ryu, who just has outstanding control. You talked about, Gary, coming into the game, 5 walks and 4 starts, and just in between for Ike. See the grip? He's on that side of that seam and just gets that rotation going, starts in the middle of the plate and right on the outside corner.
So 1 out and nobody on. Now Anthony Recker, who struck out in his first at bat. Anthony Recker, 29 years old, a smattering of big league time with Oakland and with the Cubs, and he takes that curveball for a strike. And just trying to get his feet wet, but these are his first at bats in a week and a half. Ryu has walked 1, struck out 4, and Recker foul tips the fastball, and it's 0-2.
Boy, Gary, that's a great call, David Wells. David Wells threw more fastballs than Ryu's throwing, but big hook there. The first pitch to Recker reminded me of Wells. Going right after the hitters, great control. No one had better control than David.
Recker lifts one out to left center, and Kemp is over. Well, there's been nothing hard hit against Hyunjin Ryu today. The Mets' only hit was a broken bat single by Lucas Duda. Everything else has been a ground ball or a lazy fly. So 2 out and nobody on. Now Colin Cowgill, who reached on an error by the shortstop his first time up. Mets facing 3 left-hand starting pitchers in this series. They faced Kershaw on Tuesday night, Lilly last night, and now Ryu today. First time they faced 3 lefties in a series in 5 years since they had a series against the Phillies.
Would that be Hamels, Moyer,
Happ?
Oh, okay, when he was there.
Good changeup by Ryu. 1-1. Well, the Mets are 3-5 this year in games started by left-handers against them. They were 17 games under 500 against them last year. Mets will face only 1 lefty against the Phillies over the weekend. That'll be Cole Hamels on Sunday.
Someone asked Terry Collins, what do you think of the Dodgers starting 3 left-handers? He goes, did you see our numbers last year? I'd start 3 left-handers if I had them too.
Somehow or other, it's been that way for the Mets for a long time. It was that way when you played.
And it's interesting that their best offensive player of all time, David Wright, is a right-handed hitter, and they've struggled against lefties.
David has not been quite as formidable against left-handers the last couple of years as he was earlier in his career when they just couldn't get him out.
Think about it. We had Carter, McReynolds, all those years. They still struggled, huh?
But, you know, you had a lot of left-hand bats in that lineup, particularly Strawberry.
Might also have something to say about the left-handers that were pitching at that time. You know, John Tudor, Carlton.
I don't know. I saw Randy Tomlin beat the Mets 9 times. I think we looked at the numbers pretty recently.
Smith.
I think Tomlin was 9-0 against the Mets and had 21 wins against the rest of the league.
Well, if it was like the Dodgers with Monday, why didn't the Mets sign Tomlin? That's what they should have done.
That's right. Can't beat him. There's ball 4, and Cowgill draws a 2-out walk, so that'll clear the pitcher spot.
Is that his first walk of the year?
Cowgill, that's right.
Yeah.
It is. 43 at bats deep in his season. So his on-base percentage no longer matches his batting average. So now Hefner, who tried to bunt and struck out in doing so his first time up. Each team with only 1 hit.
The thing about Rue is that, just like David Wells, the number on his back just looks way too small for his body.
Well, the Mets once had a 99 pitching for them. Turk Wendell.
Oh, we talked about him last night.
Any day we can talk about Turk Wendell is a good day. Rue strikes out Hefner. That's his 5th. We're through 5. 1-0 LA. Get a complete draft breakdown from Ray Lucas, Brian Custer, and Adam Shine. Exclusive interviews with Rex Ryan and John Idzik. Reports from Florham Park. All that as the future of the Jets is revealed. Jets Nation Draft Day 2013 coverage begins tonight at 6:30 only on SNY. A roar erupting from the crowd as Hyunjin Ryu comes up for the second time.
Well, he has that natural name to cheer when he comes up. You know, for the Mets it was Mookie, and now Ryu. Very easy.
Ryu struck out his first time up, and Hefner gets the fastball over 1-1. And wouldn't you know it, Jeremy Hefner picks the day to work his best start of the season so far. And it's a day when Ryu has held the Mets to virtually nothing. Carl Crawford on deck, then Nick Punto in the top of the 6th. Just one hit on either side. Hyunjin Ryu first burst on the international scene in 2008 at the Olympics. Won 2 games for Korea, including the gold medal game against Cuba, as he goes down swinging for the 2nd time. You beat Cuba in international competition,
yes.
You get a lot of attention. He was 21 at the time, and a national hero. Get to Citi Field tomorrow night at 7:10 p.m. as the series with the Phillies begins. Find the best prices at Mets.com or at 718-507-TIXX, the only place to get tickets through game time. Dylan G against Kyle Kendrick tomorrow night on the series opener. G seems if he can build on that very encouraging start last time out. And Carl Crawford has the 2nd Dodger hit. Quickly over to play at Cowgill to make sure the speedy Crawford doesn't think about trying for 2.
Well, jumped all over this fastball. His first time up today, he was swinging right out of the box. And here, line drive past Murphy. Good swing there by Crawford.
So Crawford, who has scored the only run of this game after being hit by a pitch in the 1st, is now aboard with 1 out. And Nick Punto, the batter. Punto has taken a call 3rd strike and flied out to right, and David Wright is playing way in on the grass at 3rd base. Certainly the bunt not in order here, and Punto fouls it back.
The bunt is not in order. I don't like the play. Now, I know it's not where David wants, well, maybe he wants to play there, but I know he's getting help from the bench and placement of where he should be. But Punto's entire game is pushing the ball past the 3rd baseman. I mean, that's where he gets his hits.
Hefner jams him and gets ahead of him 0-2. Punto began his career with the Phillies. When he first started out, he was one of the fastest players in the game. Still runs pretty well at age 35.
Really cut his teeth during those years when Minnesota was going to the playoffs every single season.
Perfect Ron Gardenhire type player.
Gardy was that kind of player.
And the curveball bounced toward 3rd, a foul ball.
What do you covet? You covet what you know. Gardy, when he first came up, and then he really had a lot of hamstring problems, but when he first came up, he was fast, had a little bit of pop. I think he's a University of Texas guy, and but the hamstring problem slowed him down.
He was, if I'm not mistaken, one of the last cuts out of spring training in '86. Otherwise, it might have been he instead of Rafi Santana.
And he might not have been a manager if it didn't happen. I think Gardenhire came up in maybe '79 for a few starts. And that's had guys like that in '79. Kelvin Chapman had some play.
Brian Giles.
Gardenhire, Brian Giles. I'm trying to think who else. There were a lot of guys that I played in AAA that had a taste of the big leagues for the Mets in the late '70s. Wally Backman came up in '79.
A bunch of outfield prospects, the Stanley Jeffersons and the Herm Winninghams and the Marvell Winns.
That's right. Terry Blocker, you remember that name?
Sure. Wound up playing for the Braves. Here's the 0-2, and Hefner misses high. Jeremy's been able to limit the traffic this afternoon and keep his pitch count down. 75 pitches, working with 1 out in the 6th. The way Ryu is going, he may have already given up enough. And Punto tries to hold and stopped it in time. 2-2. Down to first. Davis gets the out at second, and that's all. Ike knew that ball was not hit hard enough to turn two, and so took his time.
That was a beautiful play by Ike. It was not that hard, but like you said, Gary, made sure of the out. That's just one of those plays. No reason to kind of get quick with that. There's no chance that the pitcher's going to get over there in time.
So 2 out. Punto now at first, and now major test for Hefner against Adrian Gonzalez, who hit a bullet to Davis and was retired his last time up. 0 for 2 on the day. Mets have done a pretty good job against Gonzalez in this series. Came in a red hot hitter, and he's gone 2 for 9 in the 3 games. Not hitting for the power we're accustomed to seeing from Adrian Gonzalez, but a hit machine. And the changeup outside for ball 1. When I think of Adrian Gonzalez, I think of Petco Park and hitting the ball out to left field.
Yeah, line drives over that left field wall. I think it cost them in Boston. They had a lot of singles off that green monster.
Wall giveth and the wall taketh away.
What's interesting for me is you got to know the numbers if you're the manager of the Dodgers, and Punto's got some good speed. It's a good time to take a chance, maybe steal a run here with 2 outs.
After being careful with Gonzalez behind 2-0. And 3-0. And you got Matt Kemp standing on deck, so it's out of the frying pan into the fire if you walk Gonzalez here. Kemp showing every sign of starting to heat up over the last 4 or 5 days. The Dodgers, though, second to last in the National League in runs scored at this juncture. There's a call strike, and we talk all the time about on base percentage and its correlation with runs scored. Not with LA. They're third in the league in on base percentage and 14th in runs scored.
Well, all you have to do is then take a look at their RISP numbers.
190 as a team with runners in scoring position. Now Hefner's 3-1, and Gonzalez hits one in the air to left center field, pretty deep. Cowgill and Duda on the track, and Duda puts it away to retire the side. Hefner able to get Gonzalez on the long fly and keep it a 1-0 game.
At Citi Field, Dylan G gets the ball on Friday night. Sean Markham makes his Mets debut on Saturday against Jonathan Pettibone, his second MLB start, and then a good lefty matchup with Hamels and Nice going on the Sunday afternoon game. As we welcome you back, 1-0 Dodgers, and top of the order for the Mets, Ruben Tejada leading things off. When you look at this Phillies offense, they have struggled too. Gary and Ron were just talking about the Dodgers offense struggling. Well, the Phillies offense has been in the same type of boat. As a matter of fact, they've scored 3 runs or fewer 14 of the 22 games they've played so far this year. If you dig a little bit deeper, David Murphy in the Philadelphia Daily News wrote an interesting article the other day talking about the Phillies' inability to hit the fastball. So I asked Bloomberg Sports to give me some statistical background on that, and it's true. They are really struggling. As a matter of fact, 23rd in the league with the average against the fastball. Guys, the major league average is 272 against the fastball. Phillies hitting just 260 against the fastball. I'm not talking cutter. I'm talking 4-seam fastball here. That's a disturbing trend for them. Chase Utley's doing just fine, but some of their big guns are really struggling. Notably, Ryan Howard, just 271 average against the fastball. Jimmy Rollins, 241 against the fastball. And how about Dominic Brown? 146 against the fastball this year. So just the heat, guys, has given the Phillies some trouble.
Which is something you might expect from an older team. Charlie Manuel's reaction has been to shuffle his batting order. We were speculating when we were in Philly on the last road trip that if Ben Revere didn't hit soon, they would move Jimmy Rollins back into the leadoff spot, and Charlie's done that now the last 4 or 5 days. Rollins back hitting leadoff. And also what he did yesterday was he split up Utley and Howard for the first time and put Michael Young in the third hole in between them.
You know, Michael Young, see the score is 1-1. Michael Young has had, I think, a 14-game hitting streak going into the game today, but 12 of those 14 games, he's had just one single.
So again, that game in Philadelphia, Gabby Sanchez just homered for the Pirates off Cliff Lee to tie it. Ruben Tejada's aboard to lead off for the Mets. First time the Mets have had the leadoff man on today against Hyun-Jin Ryu. Now the Mets face the Phillies over the weekend here and then go to Miami and Atlanta. Their first look at the Braves weekend after next at Turner Field.
And guys, just to compare, so the Phillies as a team hitting 260 against fastballs. Mets are 276. That's 12th in the league. Daniel Murphy's tops on the Mets. 375 clip against the heater this year.
And Murphy will face Ryu for the 3rd time. He's 0 for 2 and takes high. So 3 walks for Ryu, who had walked just 5 in his first 4 starts combined. And the Mets with the tying run aboard and nobody out. Mets have had just 1 hit, a broken bat single by Lucas Duda in the 4th.
Gary, I remember when I was facing the Cincinnati Reds early in my career, Tony Perez was one of the great hitters. But I asked, Mel Stottlemyre, what's he hit? He said, well, early in his career, could not get a fastball by him. But now he's a great breaking ball pitcher. So if you're going to throw him a breaking ball, you have to bounce it. Older players change.
Or they don't stay around to be older players.
Exactly. Well, what happens is just naturally you tend to have the bat speed of an older person. You don't have the bat speed of a 30-year-old or a young person like David Wright, who's still young, or Daniel Murphy.
And that doesn't mean that an older player can't hit a fastball, but maybe he's got to cheat a little bit.
They start a little earlier. That's what they do.
Just off the plate from Ryu, and it's 2-2 to Murphy.
They're sly like a fox. They know when you're going to come in with a fastball, and they make that adjustment.
Have to think, guys, they get a boost with Carlos Ruiz coming back Sunday from that PED suspension. I mean, he had a career year offensively last year.
Yeah, and they're waiting for Delman Young also. He's going to be ready before too terribly long. Although how he'll help them in the field remains to be seen.
Well, Kevin Ruiz is like the rudder of that ship, and he's a real leader. 2 times now. 0-2, walked Tejada. 0-2 on Murphy, now has gone to 3-2.
76 pitches now for Ryu through 95 in 6 innings in his last start in Baltimore on Saturday. Tejada very short lead and the soft toss to first base. It's the first time we've seen Ryu throw over, and he was not giving away his good move. But the Mets have been taking very small leads at first, almost as though they're concerned about his move. Not going, and Murphy hits it to right center field. Cutting across is Ethier, but it drops in for a hit. Tejada stops at second, and the Mets have the first 2 men on in the 6th. Murphy has the Mets' second hit of the game.
Well, Murph has become a very good breaking ball hitter, especially on that curve. Now, little awkward swing out front. Let's go with one hand, but just enough to loop that into the outfield. I mean, how many times we've seen Murphy get a base hit on a breaking ball so far this season?
So Murphy now has an 8-game hitting streak. And the Mets have first and second and nobody out for David Wright, who has struck out and walked today. David began the day hitting .500 with runners in scoring position, 10 for 20. And he's got a chance here with the tying run at second and nobody out. And Rue runs that fastball in the inside corner.
Boy, they've made some good pitches in. Lilly last night and Rue here this afternoon.
We got 3 left-handers in this series, all of whom are not afraid to throw inside. Kershaw and Lilly. And now Rue. Ball to strike to right with Duda waiting on deck. With a little different look with Duda hitting behind Davis. So will it make a difference here with a hot hitter behind David as opposed to Davis, who has been so cold? Numbers are startling for David against the left-handers so far this year. Hernandez knocks it down, but breaking for third, Tejada, and he makes it safely. Murphy holds it first, but Tejada aggressively gets to third on the wild pitch.
One of the things they worked in spring training was taking the extra base. Don't have a lot of speed, don't steal a lot, but try to take extra base when the ball's in the dirt. The only way you can do this is you have to anticipate that that pitch is going to be in the dirt, and nice job by Tejada. Can't do much more than Hernandez did here. Just tried to shove his right hip over there enough to block that ball, but had no play on Tejada.
So now first and third and nobody out. Dodgers will keep the infield back, concede a run to try and get a double play. And there's a fastball strike, and it's 2-2 to right. David didn't like that call by Tony Randazzo. Probably thought that ball was down.
Yeah, he sees that pitch down. I think it's a pretty good pitch, and Randazzo has been very good today. Consistent anyways.
6 out of 7, getting that runner in from third with less than 2 out. And it's inside, a full count. So Rue running into his first roadblock here in the 6th. He walked Tejada. A base hit to Murphy. Tejada gets to third on the wild pitch, and now a full count to right, his third consecutive full count.
Change up 3-2 here. He's giving him everything inside.
And he has to reach for that changeup and foul it off. Wonder if the phone's working today.
Well, he's throwing him everything. Fastballs inside, sliders down and in. That changeup that he wanted the strikeout on, didn't get it with David just fouling it off. So he gutsy enough to come back inside as Matt Guerrier gets ready.
19th pitch of the inning, and David hits it out to left center. That should get the run in as Tejada tags. Kemp makes the grab, and the Mets tie the game on the sacrifice fly by David Wright. It's 1-1. So Wright, who tied the game with the 9th inning hit yesterday, ties it again, this time in the 6th.
You got to really appreciate the at-bats that David Wright has taken the last 2 nights. That first pitch with the base hit with 2 outs last night, and here really worked Rue, and that's a pitch that got by him earlier in this at-bat, but able to loft that out to Kemp.
So Wright has his 17th RBI, and the Mets have gotten even. Murphy at first with 1 out, and now Lucas Duda, who had a broken bat single his last time up, 1 for 2 on the day. So Duda earning a promotion today, put in the cleanup spot, switching places with Ike Davis. Now the question is that a short-term or a long-term move?
Well, to me, the more interesting part was he was not moved up because of Terry's feeling as though making Lucas comfortable is more important than moving him up and down the lineup. And I think he just got to a point where it's too bad if you're comfortable in the 6th spot. You're going to have to bat cleanup. Hang with him.
Well, it's the same philosophy, I think, that led Terry to not move Duda to first base on days that he's giving Ike Davis the day off. Doesn't want to mess with what's working. Doesn't want to get Lucas too excited about playing first base, which he might. And up and in, and did it get the hand or the handle? Apparently it hit the bat.
But if it hit the bat, it's a fair ball. If it hits the knob, it's a fair ball.
I agree with that. So why are they sending Murphy back to first? Did it hit the knob and then his leg? Is that possible?
That could have happened.
Yep, that's what hit his leg. So it is a foul ball. Ball hit the knob of the bat, then grazed his left leg. And so it is a foul ball.
Hustle by Rue to get on it, just in case the umpires did not call it.
So it's a 1-2 count to Duda.
Sometimes you say to yourself, boy, that's an unfortunate break for the Mets, but I don't know. You don't want it hitting his hand.
No. Never know what's going to happen with that. Got so many little bones in that hand. It could cost you a couple of months. Two and two now to Lucas. I'll tell you what. In 3.5 weeks of baseball, how many times have we seen Duda go out of the strike zone to swing at a pitch?
No, he's got a real grasp of the strike zone. He really does.
2-2 from Rue to Duda. And the slider off the plate and a full count. Just can't get him to bite.
It's a pretty good pitch here. Good call by Randazzo. That ball's down.
4th straight full count for Rue. Let's see if Murphy's in motion here with 3 and 2 and 1 out. Not going. And Duda takes strike 3 call. And now it's Duda who's unhappy with Randazzo. 2 out.
That's one of those pitches where the 2-2 pitch was close. And the 3-2 pitch, the fastball, no, it's a little slider and it's away, definitely away. Let's see if he catches the front part of that plate. I believe not.
Duda certainly had a case. 6 strikeouts now for Rue. So Murphy's still at first with 2 down for Marlon Byrd. Byrd is flying to right and grounded into a double play. 0 for 2. And the changeup has Byrd out in front. Well, Murphy has not attempted a stolen base this year. Maybe this is a good spot for this first.
But he just looks like all the other Met runners, so uncomfortable on first base against Rue.
Sometimes, though, with a lefty, you just guess.
Just take off.
Yeah.
Ronnie, just curious, because I'm no expert, down here looking at Rue, his arm speed looks tremendous, even on the off-speed stuff. I'm curious what you think, what it looks like up there.
Kevin, you're so right, and now you are an expert. I'll give you a badge after the game. His arm speed is the same on all the pitches. You know, whenever we would talk about Johan Santana, one of his strengths is that he had an incredible arm speed on every pitch he threw, and Rue has the same thing, but he throws 4 pitches for strikes.
There's a badge?
Oh yeah. You can get one if you want. You just don't want one.
Here's the 0-2. And the curveball line over Uribe and down the line. Murphy goes to third. Crawford picks it up quickly. And so no chance for Murphy to think about scoring as Byrd cruises into second with a double. 5th double of the year for Marlon Byrd. It comes on an 0-2 breaking ball.
Well, we've talked about it many times that Marlon makes great adjustments on the breaking ball. He's a good breaking ball hitter. Now, this is off the end of the bat, so it almost gives Uribe a chance to make the play, but he dumps it in the left field corner, and Crawford gets it in quickly. Watch the hands back. Didn't we watch it yesterday with Tejada? He keeps his hands back. That allows him to hit.
Some question now about the health of Hyun-Jin Ryu as the pitching coach Rick Honeycutt comes out with the trainer. Oh, it's not the trainer, it's the translator.
There we go.
My apologies.
You're allowed to do that now.
That's right. It's a new rule in baseball that you can bring the translator to the mound. And so Matt Guerrier gets some more time in the bullpen as they talk things over at the mound. It's very odd, I have to say, that the translator is allowed on the mound.
Yes, I honestly, there's a lot of rules that are passed. I don't like that one.
Let me ask you a question. If you have a player from the Dominican who doesn't speak English, are you allowed to bring a translator? Or is it only for the Asian pitchers?
You should be able to do it for everyone.
Right?
I played with players. English was their first language. We needed someone to go out there.
That's a good point. Here's Ike Davis, second and third and 2 out. And Ike swings and fouls off the first pitch.
Well, that's what Kevin brought up with the arm speed. The thing about Rue is that he looks to first. See how it's almost like it's a spasm as he goes to the plate. So you never know what's coming, whether that good fastball's coming too.
Ike is 0 for 2 today. Rue is about to throw his 30th pitch in this 6th inning. Murphy the go-ahead run at third. Bird at second with 2 down. This could be the last batter for Rue with a right-hand hitter on deck. And he misses high with the off-speed pitch. 1-1. Well, the Mets have done a lot of damage this year. I think we missed an R somewhere. But they're hitting .372 on their third plate appearance against a pitcher. It's a breaking ball strike, and it's 1-2 to Davis. Mike trying to find his way out of the April miasma.
Well, I think the thing about Ike is that when he gets to that count, what do you think Rue is going to throw? He's going to work middle of the plate away.
1-2 to Davis, and he got him with a fastball. Side retired. 7 strikeouts for Rue. The Mets get even. A leadoff walk to Ruben Tejada, setting the wheels in motion. Daniel Murphy with a base hit. A wild pitch moves him to third, and a sacrifice fly from right ties the game at 1 after 6.
The translator didn't even go on. Not only goes on the mound, he talks to Ramon Hernandez, gets the instructions, and after that, he talks to Rue, and they go back and forth about certain things that Hernandez wants Rue to concentrate on.
Kemp with the grounder behind the bag, and Wright's long throw, not quite in time. Quite an effort by David Wright. Took a double away from Kemp and nearly got him But Kemp with an infield hit.
Boy, right down that line. Tough call there for Mark Wegner.
So the Dodgers have just their third hit against Jeremy Hefner, the second for Kemp, as we go back to the translated pitcher-catcher conversation.
Very interesting little triangle here, right? And then he says, well, Rue, your arm speed has been very good, but what I really need you to do is get on top of the ball, make sure you use your fastball more. You've been throwing that fastball early in the game inside. Go back and stay with that pitch.
I didn't know you knew Korean. Here's Andre Ethier, who's been up twice and flied out both times. And he takes the curveball high from Hefner. And Jeremy Hefner pitching into the 7th inning for only the 4th time in his career. He's got as many as 8 innings in a big league game. Quite a contrast for him after all the struggles of his last couple of outings. Ethier gets under one to right field, and Bird has plenty of room. Tagging at first base is Kemp, and he is going to try it. The throw coming in from Bird, and Kemp is out at second base. Marlon Bird throws out Kemp. Double play.
You know, whenever you're going back on a fly ball, watch what Marlon Bird does. He prepares himself. He's ready to throw that ball in before he catches the baseball. That's why that play worked. That reason, and also Kemp. When he goes back, watch him slip as he peels off first base. Boy, almost left too early anyways. The Mets could have appealed that. But they'll take the 2 outs.
It's a 9-6 double play, and I think that's also great awareness by Bird, knowing who the base runner is. You have to know that Matt Kemp is a guy who will try to make that play.
You know, Marlon Bird last night made a great catch in right center, and here with a great defensive play as Tejada throws that slide and gets Kemp before he gets that foot on the bag.
Juan Uribe has been up twice and walked both times, and again being very patient at the plate, working against type.
You know, those are little plays, and the game has become about hitting the ball out of the park and striking people out, and that is such a little subtle play that good teams execute. It's just it saves your pitcher pitches, might get him out of a big jam. You see Scott Rice and Brandon Lyon up in the bullpen. It's just defense can almost lift sometimes an offense.
And can you believe this? Uribe just walked for the 3rd time. The only 3 walks that Hefner's given up today to a guy who refuses to walk for most of his career. Not today. SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. So now Ramon Hernandez up for the 3rd time. Hernandez has flied to right and grounded into a double play. Just 1 for 13 to start his season. Only the 3rd game he's starting for the Dodgers since coming over in trade from the Rockies a couple of weeks ago. Juan Uribe walked 13 times all of last year.
Well, I was going to say, I wonder if he's ever walked 3 times in his career.
He once had 4 walks in a game.
Wow.
Interestingly enough, in this ballpark 3 years ago as a Giant.
Well, he's no Mike Baxter.
That's true. Baxter set a Met Club record last year, walking 5 times in a game in San Diego. An historic event, if there ever was one.
On about 22 pitches.
Hefner ahead on Hernandez 0-2. And Recker wants a conversation. He and Hefner have been pretty much on the same page all afternoon.
Well, you know, Hefner's thrown to John Buck, and maybe just need a little change of scenery with Recker back there.
Let's look at our AT&T trivia question for today. What current NFL player was drafted in the 2nd round of the 2002 Major League Baseball draft?
I got that one.
It's a theme question today, the draft tonight.
Colorado Rockies drafted by.
Little tapper back to Hefner, and the side retired. 7 very strong innings from Jeremy Hefner this afternoon. Stretch time at Citi Field. Mets and Dodgers tied at 1. On SNY is brought to you by Verizon Fios Quantum Internet, technology that makes you feel superhuman. That's powerful. By Audi, Truth in Engineering. And by Citi, proud sponsor of the New York Mets. '60-degree afternoon, sunny skies. Pitchers dueled here at Citi Field, each team with a run on 3 hits. As Hyunjin Ryu, after a very difficult 6th inning, threw 32 pitches in that inning, goes back out there for the 7th. A little bit surprised about that.
Yeah, 97 pitches.
Anthony Recker will lead things off, lower third of the order. Recker, Cowgill, and then Jeremy Hefner due up for the Mets. Recker 0 for 2, and he swings and misses at that breaking ball, 0-1. Most pitches Ryu has thrown in a game this season is 107. That was in his 2nd start in 6 innings in Arizona. Most he's gone is 6 1/3. And here he is trying to get the first out in the 7th, and ahead on Recker 0-2. Ryu spent 7 years pitching in the Korean baseball organization. In those 7 years, led the league in strikeouts 5 times.
He's a Triple Crown winner too, right?
He's got 7 strikeouts so far today, and Recker just avoids the strikeout. 98 wins, 52 losses, a 2.80 ERA in those 7 years in Korea. And acquitting himself quite nicely in his first outing in New York before an adoring part of the crowd.
Problem here for Ramon Hernandez that Ryu has about 15 pitches, so that by the time they go through all the fingers, these numbers.
At the All-Star team every season, averaged almost a strikeout per inning. Strike 3 called. Recker caught looking on the fastball. That's strikeout number 8 for Hyunjin Ryu. Sunday, head to Vegas to check in on the Mets' top 2 prospects. Zach Wheeler and Travis d'Arnaud plus go behind the scenes during a 51s game with Wally Backman mic'd up on Mets Insider, presented by WB Mason, Sunday at 6, only on SNY. You can see Travis d'Arnaud's foot in a boot.
I was going to say, quite a recovery.
Well, you can check him out. It didn't say watch him play.
Okay.
Here's Colin Cowgill, who's reached on an error and drawn a walk, and he takes his home run hack, 0-1. Matt Guerrier, who was up in the last inning, gets up again for the Dodgers. Justin Turner has come out on deck to pinch hit for Jeremy Hefner. Drew at 102 pitches on the day, fires a fastball for a strike and gets ahead on Cowgill. There's Turner, who had a big role in the Mets' victory last night. Hefner's at 93 pitches through 7. So you don't have to pinch hit for him, but it's a difficult call, especially if you have 2 out and nobody on. Cowgill pops one up into shallow left center. And Crawford calling. 2 out. And let's see, it's going to be Turner going back to the dugout, and Juan Lagares will come up to pinch hit instead.
I think there's a couple things working here in regard to Hefner. The Mets are only going to be as strong as the back of their rotation is, and to get him this good start, working off something extremely positive, is a good way to move forward. So I think that's why he's being taken out also.
And the move here to go to Lagares rather than Turner, you would think, is to save Justin for an RBI situation later. Lagares, who has 3 home runs down in Las Vegas, give him a chance to take a big swing and pop one.
Maybe off Paco Rodriguez later. This is just so strange to see.
Well, that's twice now that the translator has come out to the mound, and my first inclination is, what's wrong with Rube?
Well,
do you think it's the trainer?
Well, what I find interesting is that Lagares had a couple at bats in the first game. He started last night's game. I don't really need to have a, Hernandez knows him enough from watching the first couple of ball games. You could probably get it done yourself. He's throwing strikes to everyone. It doesn't matter who's up.
Lagares 1 for 4 in his brief big league career, and he takes a fastball strike from Rue. Rue has been a first pitch strike throwing machine all afternoon. Ball and a strike to Lagares. Ruben Tejada would be next if Lagares can keep the inning going. The Mets 1 run 3 hits. The Dodgers 1 run 3 hits. And Lagares pops one foul. 1-2. 27 batters, 20 first pitch strikes for Gunjin Root today.
We don't usually talk about it because it's the opposition, but there's a reason that Ramon Hernandez is so great to throw to. I'm not saying he's stealing strikes, but he has such soft hands. He's so subtle back there. And the way he holds the ball, fakes inside, wants that pitch outside, and holds it in such a way that it almost implores the umpire to call it a strike.
Couldn't quite get the call from Tony Randazzo on that last one, so it's 2-2 to Lagares. And he pops one up. Back goes Gonzalez near that sidewall, and he makes a nice catch. Adrian Gonzalez, a Gold Glover at first base, shows off a nice play there, coming down over his shoulder. 1-2-3 go the Mets in the bottom of the 7th. On to the 8th at Citi Field, tied at 1. to share his thoughts on tonight's NFL draft. Find out what he thinks the Jets' biggest needs are on Daily News Live, presented by Citi, today at 5 p.m. only on SNY. Well, 7 terrific innings for Hyunjin Ryu in his 5th major league start.
Just the strike throwing machine with 4 different pitches. Works quick. He's going to have a good summer.
Now the Mets go to the bullpen. Brandon Lyon, who was the losing pitcher in the opening game of the series, comes on.
Yeah, trying to recover from that 3-run home run he gave up to Mark Ellis in that first game of the series.
Justin Sellers leads off in the top of the 8th. Bluffs a bunt, takes a strike. The pitcher's spot is due up next, and given what happened here on Tuesday night, I'm a little surprised Don Mattingly doesn't have Mark Ellis on deck to pinch hit. Instead, he has Jerry Hairston Jr. Ellis hit the 3-run homer against Lyon on Tuesday. Sellers lifts one out to center. Easy for Cowgill. 1 away. So Sellers is retired. And now Hairston will be the pinch hitter as Kenley Jansen gets ready to come on in relief for Los Angeles. Hairston started the first 2 games of this series at third base and went 0 for 6. Am I totally off base here?
No. I think what happens is Scott Rice warms up for the Mets. There's a thing in baseball, Gary, that older players, when they get the day off, they get the day off. And maybe that's what's happening here with Hairston going to the plate and Mark Ellis staying on the bench.
Isn't there also that competing interest, the best chance to win the game?
Yeah. I would have Ellis up. Unless you're trying to save Ellis for Rice or one of the left-handers. Well, he's ready to go.
Yep. He's got the batting gloves and the bat.
Put me in, coach.
All he needs is the helmet. Now, Mark Ellis has had a big impact on this series. Had a huge night on Tuesday night with 2 home runs, 4 hits, 4 RBIs. And Hairston tries to hold up on that curveball away, and they don't even check with the first base umpire. So I guess he held in time. 2-0. Carl Crawford is on deck. He has one of the Dodgers' 3 hits today. Hefner went 7, allowed 1 run, 3 hits, 3 walks, 4 strikeouts, a hit batsman. A terrific bounce back performance by Jeremy today as Lyon pours a fastball over. 2-1. Hefner threw 93 pitches. He'll get a no decision today, but a lot of plaudits for his efforts.
Big step forward for Jeremy.
Hefner's next start will be in Miami on the next road trip, and
if you're a pitcher, you're looking forward to those starts. To tell you the truth.
Well,
I mean, I know you don't look past an opponent, but
well, I think for a couple of reasons. One, and there's a strike. Hairston thought it was ball 4, but it's strike 2. Not only because the Marlins have trouble scoring runs, but also I think everybody on this team would like to play in some hot weather.
Yeah, you're right about that. Well, nice job. I talked about Ramon Hernandez. Nice job by Anthony Recker framing that ball down low. Mattingly's screaming at the umpire, but he's been calling that low strike all game long.
So Hairston has to readjust himself. 3-2 with 1 out and nobody on. And Hairston pops one up in foul ground. Ike Davis trying to measure it. Right at the railing, but he can't make the catch. Now that railing was Ike's friend when we first came to Citi Field. Not this time.
Boy, kind of like boomerangs out of his glove as he catches it on the heel. Sometimes when you go up against, see how he'll hit it first and then kind of adjust your glove a little bit, and that's the reason he missed it on the heel of the glove.
You know why he didn't catch it?
He didn't fall into
flip.
the, yeah.
He's got a flip. No error on the play. Judgment of the official scorer. Again, the 3-2 coming to Hairston. He hits this one out to right, and Bird comes on. 2 out. So 2 hitters, 2 fly ball outs for Brandon Lyon, and now he'll face Carl Crawford with the bases empty. Or will Scott Rice get the honors? Looks like Terry Collins is going to make a pitching change. So the Mets with the left-hander ready in the bullpen will go to him, and Rice will come on to face Crawford with 2 out and nobody on. We're in the 8th, tied at 1. Call to the bullpen, brought to you by Verizon Fios. Makes his 5th start of the year for the Las Vegas 51s, and we'll have the game for you as they take on the Tacoma Rainiers. 10 o'clock tonight on SNY as Zach Wheeler looks for his first victory of the season in AAA. Right now it's Scott Rice on the mound for the Mets.
Well, Rice has been very good of late. Remember, he had that 3-0 double play to Jason Worth, but a good outing after that.
Brought in to face Carl Crawford and gets the ground ball foul. Crawford 1 for 2, was hit by a pitch, scored the only Dodger run against Jeremy Hefner back in the 1st. Lyon faced 2 batters, retired them both after Hefner went the first 7, and now Rice trying to finish off the top of the 8th, with the Mets scheduled to send the top of the order up in the bottom of the inning. Down to first, and Davis stays with it and gets the unassisted putout to end the inning. So the Met bullpen throws up another hitless inning. They had 4 of them last night, 1-1 in the 8th. The only run for the Mets coming in on a sacrifice fly by David Wright. Mets have managed just 3 hits. The Dodgers the same. A 1-1 game as we go to the bottom of the 8th. And Kenley Jansen will come on in relief for Los Angeles.
All right. Bronx, New
Bronx
York
are on hand.
Very nice. I don't see the numbers so far. Low ERA, 1-for-1 in saves, 2 walks, 13 punch outs for this dominant right-hander.
Got a little fortunate last night. He gave up a rigging double to Marlon Byrd, and then Mark Ellis bailed him out, making a terrific play at second base to keep the Mets from scoring in his inning of work. Ruben Tejada walked and scored the only Met run. That was in the 6th against Hyunjin Ryu, who went 7 innings, allowed 1 run, 3 hits, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts, a wild pitch, 109 pitches for Ryu, who acquitted himself quite nicely. So now it's completely in the hands of the bullpens. Tejada, Murphy, and Wright up for the Mets against Jansen in the bottom of the 8th. And as always seems to be the case with Ruben, the corners are pinching against him, against a guy who never bunts for a hit.
Well, Jansen is not a good fielding pitcher, so that'd be your first thought. But you're right, Tejada just does not bunt.
And yet everybody's scouting report seems to think that he does. Nothing in tune out of Ruben.
There's a few givens with Ruben. He is not going to bunt. Most of his hits are going to be to right field, and he'll start every at bat 0-2.
And then get to 3-2. It's at 2 3-2 counts in his 3 at bats so far today. Jansen, the 25-year-old from Curacao, deals the 0-2, and it's hit up the middle. A base hit for Tejada. So the Mets get the lead man aboard in a tie game in the 8th. And now Daniel Murphy, who was 1 for 3 on the day. So Jansen, who was able to squirm out of trouble last night, in immediate difficulty here in the 8th inning today. Murphy's base hit in the 6th inning extended his hitting streak to 8 games. We've got a Uribe in on the grass at 3rd, thinking that Murphy might be bunting. Certainly wouldn't think so. The way Murphy's been swinging the bat, I don't think Terry Collins has any inkling of having him bunt, but Uribe seems to think so.
Well, he's not going to bunt. You're probably not going to hit and run either. But one thing you got the Mets, one of their hottest hitters up.
And another one on deck in David Wright. Murphy watches away. Ball 1. Murphy takes high, and now Jansen behind him 2-0. Coming up tonight on Geico Sports Night at 10:30. Reaction to the Jets and Giants draft. Nets Bulls game 3, and the Rangers getting close to the playoffs. Geico Sports Night tonight. That's where they come on to the 3rd inning of the Vegas game. Right? Aren't we showing the Vegas game tonight at 10? Or didn't we just promote that?
We just bought a new station.
We have SNY2?
The Ocho.
Dodgeball at 3 a.m. 2-0 to Murphy with Wright on deck. And Murphy very patient. And Jansen's behind him now 3-0. So Kenley Jansen digging a bit of a hole for himself.
Automatic take here for Murph.
Jansen's walked only 2 batters in 11 innings this season. Here's a strike, 3-1. Now time for Murphy to go to hitting.
Well, when you watch Ramon Hernandez, he would give a sign of one for a fastball, but it really is a cutting fastball that sometimes turns into a slider from Jansen. A variety of pitches with one single digit.
And time asked for by Murphy. Jansen trying to freeze the runner at first. Well, right now it doesn't seem to matter what you throw Murphy. You throw him a cutter, you throw him a breaking ball. He's been on it.
Trying to stay away with the fastball.
And Murphy takes high, ball 4, and the Mets have 2 men on. So just as they did in the 6th inning, Tejada and Murphy set the table. And now David Wright coming up. Well, we have a clarification, by the way, on our programming tonight. The executives have huddled. And what we are told is that the... Oh, I'm glad we have more time to explain this now as Rick Honeycutt goes to the mound. The coverage of the Las Vegas Tacoma game tonight at 10 o'clock will be a report from the game. Not full coverage of Zach Wheeler's start. However, we will be checking in from Las Vegas.
Well, me personally, you had me sold at showing the game.
You were too.
I'm going to have to contemplate whether I listen to the reports.
Well, you'll get the report at 10, but then you get at 10:30 you get the draft coverage because, you know, the draft.
The draft is just nonsense. Anytime the jabronis who do that draft, all you have to do is say 2 names. All right. Joe Montana was picked in the 3rd round. Tom Brady was picked in the 6th round. That's all you need to know. You don't even need the draft.
What was that word that you just used, by the way?
Jabronis. I learned that from my man, producer Greg Picker.
Now David Wright, who delivered the first Met run with a sacrifice fly. 1st and 2nd and nobody out. Tie game, 8th inning. And he swings and misses at the Jansen cutter. 0-1.
Just like last night's game with that big 2-out hit, David very aggressive on the first pitch.
Tejada at 2nd, Murphy at 1st. 0-1 to Wright. And Jansen gets ahead of him with a little extra heat. 0-2.
Well, David's trying to go to right field. The problem is that Jansen now has thrown 2 perfect pitches, starting on the outside corner and running off just enough.
Lucas Duda waiting on deck. This is Jansen's inning. Nobody throwing in that Dodger bullpen. And Wright goes down on 3 pitches. Quite a comeback for Kenley Jansen. After a single and a walk, he takes care of Wright. 1-2-3.
Well, this is pretty impressive by Jansen. Just power pitched right past David Wright. That ball starts on that outside corner. It looks like you can go to right field on it and just kind of eludes the bat.
So now Duda, it was Lucas who hit the ball sharply against Jansen last night. A ball that appeared headed for the hole on the right side, and Mark Ellis made a saving play to keep a run from scoring. Now Duda bats with 2 on. Tejada at 2nd, Murphy at 1st and 1 out. Mets 1, Dodgers 1, bottom of the 8th.
Pretty interesting here that Duda's first game in the cleanup spot might come with a chance to win the ball game.
1 for 3 today. Had a broken bat hit against Rue, and he takes low and away from Jansen.
I wonder if the umpires are watching Jansen. That time right there, he did not come to a complete stop when he delivered that ball to the plate.
If Bob Davidson were in the building, there'd be runners at 2nd and 3rd. Full stop that time and a call strike. 1-1. Marlon Byrd waiting on deck. Duda in the top 5 in the National League in both on base and slugging. But now down to the count, 1-2. 5 home runs, only 8 runs batted in for Lucas this year. Tejada carrying the lead run at second. He scored the Mets' first run.
You see the defense pretty deep in the outfield, of course, for Duda.
1-2. Too high. 2-2 to Lucas.
Never seen that. Murphy was on first base. There was a wild piece of paper in the infield. He ran off into the infield grass and picked up the piece of paper.
Second career. So Bobby Parnell up in the Mets bullpen. 2-2 coming to Duda. A high fly ball to right center. Ethier eases over. Tejada tags at second, but he's going nowhere. And that's the second out. So Jansen, after giving up a single and a walk, strikes out right, gets Duda on the fly ball, and it's left to Marlon Byrd, who last night hit one off the wall in left field against Jansen for a two-base hit. Marlon today is 1 for 3, double down the left field line. He's also contributed a terrific throw to second base to double off Matt Kemp. And now looking to pick up that lead run from second base. Two out and two on, and Byrd takes up and away for ball one. Mets have been held in check today to the tune of 1 run and 4 hits, averaging 5.7 runs per game, third in the National League, and looking for that late inning offense that sparked them last night. Ball and a strike to Byrd.
Good swing there by Marlon. This ball stays over the middle. I think Marlon just a tiny bit tardy on that pitch by Jansen.
Ike Davis would be next. And Byrd late on that fastball, 1-2.
Interesting for Jansen. Down in the strike zone, vulnerable. Up in the strike zone, almost unhittable.
Well, his inning got off to a rocky start, but now Jansen on the verge of getting himself out of trouble. 1-2 to Byrd. Struck him out. That's a big recovery by Kenley Jansen as the Mets strand 2 in the 8th, still tied at 1. Your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers, visit them on the web at searchmercedes.com. Let's answer today's AT&T trivia question. We asked which current NFL player was drafted in the second round of the Major League Baseball draft in 2002, and that would be Brandon Whedon, who was drafted by the Yankees and now plays quarterback for Cleveland. Did you have something you wanted to add?
I've said too much today.
I was going to say John Elway.
Well,
but he retired.
He did.
And that was he would have been drafted in Major League Baseball, what, 80?
I think he was a 1980 draft because I was 1981. He was 1980 because my brother was drafted by the Yankees also in 1980. So that's why I know.
John played, what, one summer in rookie ball, I think?
Yes. In like Oneonta, I want to say.
Nick Punto leading off the top of the ninth and takes ball 3 from Scott Rice. Rice left in the game after getting Crawford for the final out in the 8th. You got Gonzalez and Kemp to follow, and he's fallen behind the light hitting Punto 3-0. Let's have double barrel action in the bullpen. There's a strike, 3-1. Scott Atchison, the right-hander. Rob Carson, the left-hander. Getting ready behind Rice. And Punto hits it to right center field. That's in for a base hit and heading back to the wall. Punto racing for second as Bird gets it in. It's a leadoff double for Nick Punto. So Rice fell behind in the count, and Punto drives one to right center for his first extra base hit of the season.
Well, just the gamer, Punto, and gets a 3-1 count here, ball away. Just slaps it that way, but just splits the defense between Bird and Cowgill.
So now Rice finds himself in immediate jeopardy as he takes on Gonzalez, whom he retired on a ground ball last night. Gonzalez 0 for 3 today, 2 for 10 in the series. You got Matt Kemp on deck, so this is probably Rice's last batter. You have Atchison ready for Kemp. And then Carson ready for Ethier. And a slider for a strike.
I talked to Don Mattingly about these kind of at bats, and do you want late in the game that you're one of your best hitters to get the guy over? He says, I don't want him to get him over. I'd like that with 2 strikes, but before that, I want him to hit a BB for a hit somewhere.
Especially Gonzalez. He hits it down to first. Ike will make the play to Rice, but now the go-ahead run is at third with 1 out.
Well, he did both, didn't he? He hit a BB, but right at Ike Davis.
Now you have 2 choices if you're Terry Collins. You can bring in the right-hander to pitch to Kemp, or you can walk Kemp and set up the double play and leave Rice in to face Ethier.
I would walk Kemp, set up the double play because of Ethier's numbers so far this year against left-handed pitching.
So let's see how the Mets decide to go about it. And they will give 4 wide ones to Matt Kemp. So Kemp, who's 5 for 11 in this series after a couple of 3-hit games in Baltimore, is not going to get a chance to beat the Mets here in the 9th inning. It'll rest with Ethier, who's been a tremendous late inning performer for the Dodgers over the years, but has been struggling so far this season. The Dodgers get their closer Brandon League up along with the left-hander Paco Rodriguez.
Well, Ethier had a couple of bats on Sunday in Baltimore against a left-hander called McFarland, and he throws a lot like Rice. Gary, he has that sinking kind of fastball, and McFarland pitched Ethier in and got him out both times.
So the Mets set up the double play possibility. Ethier 8 for 33 against lefties. 0 for 3 today and 2 for 10 in this series. You see the numbers, as we mentioned earlier, for the Dodgers, just 190 with runners in scoring position. This is the first time that they've had a runner in scoring position since the first inning, when they scored their only run. Punto at third and Kemp at first, and now Terry Collins is going to come out to talk to Rice. You have to stay aware of Kemp at first base in this spot.
Yeah, where they'll try to run a play where Kemp will try to steal, or if he tries to fake coming off the bag, if there's 2 strikes. But I don't think you're going to do too much with Ethier at the plate. And also, it's important maybe to stay on that base. I know that you don't give up the double play, but Ethier can hit that hole between first and second.
So Terry has sent his message. Ethier's 0 for 3. He's hit the ball in the air 3 times today. The last time he hit the ball fairly deep to right. Kemp tried to tag at first and go to second, and Bird threw him out.
Double play up the middle, but the Mets outfielders are playing so unbelievably deep. If there's a fly ball, there'll be no play on the runner punto.
So now Rice goes to work against Ethier, who takes it wide for ball 1. Ethier with 2 home runs, just 6 RBIs. He is 2 for 21 with runners in scoring position this season. It's one of those situations where you got the second baseman and the shortstop, Murphy and Tejada, more shallow than normal double play depth, so you have to use your judgment on a ground ball.
Yeah, if it's hit too slowly, you want that play at the plate.
But Rice now behind on Ethier 2-0. And Ethier waves at the slider. 2-1.
It was almost like Andre Ethier was saying, I'm swinging no matter what the pitch is, wherever it is. He could have got the 3-0 there on that slider.
So Rice gets back in the count by surprising Ethier. Now it's 2-1. And he misses inside, and now it's 3-1.
That was a good pitch. The problem is that record was sitting on the outside corner, and that ball was on the inside corner. Watch where this pitch ends up. Maybe inside. I could be wrong on that one.
Juan Uribe waiting on deck. Atchison ready for him. Rice trying to take care of Ethier. 3-1. Right center field. That's going to fall for a base hit, and the Dodgers take the lead. Punto is in to score. Kemp goes to third. Andre Ethier comes through with an RBI single, and the Dodgers go in front 2-1 in the 9th. Well, Ethier's been the late inning guy for the Dodgers. He's been struggling, but he comes through here. Drives in his 7th run of the year to put LA in front.
His entire early career, though, for the Dodgers has been, as you said, Gary, clutch hitting, and he gets one finally here in April against the Mets.
Mets will make a double switch here. Mike Baxter will come into play right. Scott Atchison will come into pitch. 2-1 LA in the 9th. We'll be right back. Parnell brought in with the Mets down a run in the ninth. First and third and one out. Juan Uribe the batter, and he slashes the first one foul.
Aggressive swinging by Uribe after walking the first 3 times up. Very unusual to have your closer coming into this game 1 run down. Parnell with the win in last night's game with his inning of work.
Atchison was up earlier in the inning, and just makes you wonder about his situation today, because Parnell worked last night. You don't normally bring your closer in when you're behind in the ninth. You'd like to have him available tomorrow. Looking to get the ground ball here from Uribe with first and third and one out, trying to keep it a 1-run game. And Recker sliding to get the breaking ball, 1-1. Uribe has been up 3 times in this game and walked all 3 times. Ramon Hernandez, the on-deck batter. Looking ahead to the bottom of the ninth, the Mets will have Davis, Recker, and Cowgill due up, with Jordani Valdespin lying in wait. Fastball just missed, 2-1. The inning began with Nick Punto driving one to right center against Scott Rice. Gonzalez advanced him with a ground out. Kemp was intentionally walked, and Ethier spoiled that strategy with an RBI single. Both the Punto hit and the Ethier hit coming on 3-1 counts. And now Parnell trying to nail this game right where it is. Off the fist, a foul ball.
That's the one Uribe I know.
Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the Pirates have rallied to go in front of the Phillies 5-3. Garrett Jones, a 2-run double in the 8th, after the Phillies were up 3-1 in that game. Rough sledding for the Phillies. Pirates won 5-3 last night on a go-ahead hit by Brandon Inge in the 8th inning.
Just came off the DL, right?
Just keeps resurfacing, doesn't it? Did a great job for Oakland last year after it looked like his career was over.
Showed tremendous power after leaving Detroit.
Brandon Lee, who blew the save last night, getting ready to redeem himself this afternoon.
I think Bobby's got to try to bounce a knuckle curve here, try to get Uribe to swing over the top of it.
Instead misses high with a fastball. Now it's a full count. Well, if you do walk Uribe for the 4th time, bells will go off, but also you get the perfect double play candidate up behind him in Ramon Hernandez. As Jerry's Familia gets ready, you don't want to push Parnell too hard in this situation. 3-2 coming, and he fouls off the curveball. Surprised Ethier wasn't running there, trying to stay out of the double play.
We've seen a lot of that by both managers in this series. Just either way too conservative, or, and you can see Maddley shaking his head, or guys missing signs.
So maybe that was the case. I mean, here ideally you send the runner so that you can score that run from third on a ground ball. Again, the 3-2, and he's not going, and the ground ball hit toward the hole and smothered by Tejada, but he has no play, and a run comes in. It's 3-1 LA. Well, with the infield shortened up somewhat, that ball was hit in just the right spot, and Uribe's infield hit gives the Dodgers a 2-run lead.
Well, that's pretty lucky here for the Dodgers. Just finds a spot, because with Ethier not running, this would have been a double play ball, but it finds a hole, and nice play by Tejada, keeping it in the infield.
So Uribe reaching base 4 times today. That was the first hit for a Dodger third baseman after an 0-for-27 stretch. Now Ramon Hernandez with first and second and 1 out. 2 runs home for LA in the 9th. Hernandez 0-for-3, including a ground ball double play. And Parnell misses away. Ethier now at second and Uribe at first. Both the runs in this inning charged to Scott Rice, and he's responsible for Ethier as well. Down to third, right with the step and the throw, and the double play ends the inning. A little bit too late for Bobby Parnell and the Mets. The Dodgers take a 3-1 lead into the bottom of the ninth at Citi Field. SNY is brought to you by Mazda. If it's not worth driving, it's not worth building. By Cholula Hot Sauce, the flavorful hot sauce with the iconic wooden cap. By Ridgewood Savings Bank, they treat you like family anytime, any place. And by Nissan, choose Nissan today for great offers on the most innovative lineup ever. Shop at choosenissan.com. Brandon Lee blew a save for the first time as a Dodger last night. He's back on the mound with a 2-run lead tonight.
That's right. He was 11 for 11 in his saves in a Dodger uniform. There's Ike Davis, who has had another tough day.
Ike Davis leads off. Justin Turner on deck to pinch hit, and then Colin Cowgill due. And Davis takes in the dirt for ball one. Last night in the ninth inning, Lee gave up a leadoff double to Mike Baxter, the one that went off Carl Crawford's glove. And then with 2 out, the base hit by David Wright to tie the game. Davis 0 for 3 today, a comebacker and 2 strikeouts. Mets have had just 4 hits all day. As Ike fouls one off, and it's 1-1. Now the Mets had a golden chance to grab the lead in the bottom of the 8th inning. First and second and nobody out, but Kenley Jansen retired the 3, 4, and 5 hitters, Wright, Duda, and Bird, with a couple of strikeouts and a fly ball. And then the Dodgers grabbed the lead against Scott Rice in the top of the 9th. Two balls and a strike to Davis. Mets now in danger of losing a home series for the first time this year.
And Davis drives one to deep right field. Back goes Ethier, looking up, and it's out of here. Ike Davis hits his 4th home run of the year to get the Mets back within a run.
Now the big hits have been widely separated for Ike, but the power is still there. His 4th home run gets the Mets closer.
That makes that huge 3rd run driven in by Uribe after that bomb there by Ike Davis. 2-1 count. Fastball down the middle. He did not miss it.
So puts a little more doubt in Brandon League's mind after letting one get away last night. He gives up the leadoff home run to Davis today. Turner the batter and Valdespin on deck to try and get the Mets back. Turner last night delivered a sacrifice fly as a pinch hitter to get the Mets close. And League misses away for ball 1. And of course Valdespin, who's out on deck, sent everybody home happy. One and one to Turner, who's batting for Anthony Recker. Valdespin on deck to bat for Colin Cowgill, and behind Valdespin is Mike Baxter, who's sitting in the number 9 spot in the order, with the pitcher hitting 5th.
It's a nice array of hitters, especially since Baxter led off against League with that double.
Turner pops one up, and Gonzalez tracks it into foul ground. 1 out. So Turner is retired. Now it sets the stage for Valdespin, who last night ended it. Only the 6th walk-off grand slam in Mets history. And that set the party going.
Wall got to the 2-1 count. He knew he had to throw a fastball. Valdespin knew he had to throw a fastball.
His first home run of the year, his first career grand slam, the first walk-off grand slam for the Mets in 22 years. A lot of firsts. And the first left hook shaving cream pie from John Buck. Kerpow. I'm just happy that his nose is intact. And Valdespin quickly behind on the count 0-2. Last night's grand slam was not a pinch hitting appearance. It was his 2nd at bat of the game. He had appeared as a pinch hitter earlier in an RBI situation and rolled out weakly to first base, and then had a much better at bat that 2nd time up. Now quickly in an 0-2 hole against Brandon League in the 9th with the Mets down a run. And Valdespin fouls it back.
See that grip that League has. That's that split finger that he uses. Fastball, lots of movement, little slider, and the split finger.
Brandon League, one of those small fraternity of players born in Hawaii.
That's right. Went to St. Louis High School, famous for their football teams. He played both football and baseball.
Do you guys like have club meetings? You and Sid and Len Cicada.
We got the sign. That's all you need.
Is that what that is? Is there a badge? Valdespin able to skip and avoid getting hit by that ball. 2-2.
Well, the thing about League is that he is not one of those closers that is going to blow you away, strike out 3 in the inning, although he can do that. He's more of a kind of a contact guy. Goes right after you.
Now Valdespin has gotten it from 0-2 to 2-2. And he goes down swinging on the breaking ball. So League, after giving up the home run to Davis, has retired the next 2.
Oh, that's his best pitch right there. That ball kind of sailed down and in on Valdespin. right over the top of it.
So now the Mets are down to their final out of the afternoon. Mike Baxter will try and keep them alive. The pinch hit double off Carl Crawford's glove in the game last night. 2 out and nobody on, last of the ninth. And that one goes to the backstop, 1-0. Tomorrow the Phillies are in town for the first of 3. Dylan G gets the start against Kyle Kendrick. Our coverage begins tomorrow night at 6 o'clock right here on SNY. Pirates have added a run, lead 6-3 as they go to the bottom of the 8th. G coming off a very good start his last time out.
Baxter hits one toward the left field line, slicing, and it's a foul ball.
Didn't miss by much. Another 2-base hit. But just a strike. Well, the Mets have struck out 11 times today. That's 5 straight games they've struck out 10 or more. Let's see how much that missed the line by. Markel still has the batting gloves on because he's still waiting for that pinch hit appearance. Dodgers haven't needed him so far. They're 1 out away from a win. And Baxter takes a strike. And now the Mets are down to their last strike. Ruben Tejada would be next. Mets are 1-3 in 1-run games this year. League's 1-2, and Baxter just keeps the Mets alive. Again, the 1-2 to Baxter. And again, he barely gets a piece to stay in the at-bat. Is Kershaw wearing the flip downs in the dugout?
Old school. In the shade.
That's awesome. Just missed. League thought he had it. No call from Tony Randazzo. 2-2.
Mattingly's hot. He's saying that's the pitch you've been calling all day long. You're not going to call it now?
That's a tough pitch to take.
Fire still burns.
Mattingly was on the bus. And Baxter continues to give a good account of himself. League 20 pitches deep in this 9th inning. Gave up the leadoff home run to Ike Davis to cut it to 1 run. Trying to put away Baxter. This will be the 8th pitch of the at bat, but first Mike asks for time. Again, the 2-2. And he missed with the off-speed pitch, and now it's a full count. Well, League was ahead in the count. He thought he had him on the 1-2 pitch. Now it's a full count with Tejada on deck. The 9th pitch of the at-bat upcoming. And Baxter swings and grounds one over the bag. Playing the line is Gonzalez, and he makes the flip just in time to get the final out. And the Dodgers have taken the rubber game of the series as they scored 2 in the top of the 9th against the Mets bullpen and hang on for a 3-2 win.
We see that Mattingly luckily had Egon playing right on the line. He faked to League a couple of times, but finally League got over there and made the play. First time that the Mets, and we've seen Mr. Rue pitch, and he was outstanding today. Jeremy Hefner was equally as good for the Mets, and just the Dodgers some clutch hitting late in the game.
Brandon League able to hang on for the save after giving up the home run to Ike Davis. And the Dodgers hand the Mets their first home series loss in 2013 as the Mets are back to 500 for the season. Terrific starts on both sides by Rue for the Dodgers and Hefner for the Mets. They each went 7, allowed 1 run, 3 hits. But the Dodgers win the battle of the bullpens and win it 3-2. We'll come back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.